Hey y'all, welcome to Other Realm Studio. This is Paula, and today I have on a headset. So I'm going to see if that makes me a little bit more clear. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Because I wasn't entirely sure about the quality of the audio with where I had to set up my mic at first. Yeah, eventually I'm going to clear off my desk and have things set up in a logical order. So I didn't do an art stream last night, and I'm really sorry, but there was a storm, and every now and then the power started blinking for just a tiny bit, so I didn't really get around to doing the stream. So instead, I finished up some stuff around the house and actually got to bed before 11. Let's see. Today I had an idea of something that I wanted to work on. It's actually kind of revisiting an older piece that I had done a while back that was very weird. It was on it was ballpoint pen on uh, copy paper. And what it was a it started out as a scribble, but I marked down some stick people. It started off as a scribble, which was just kind of a mood. And it was this enormous android that was fallen and broken to pieces across a mountain range in a lot of uh, just all its pieces sitting around. And these travelers were looking for it as an oracle. And I'm not quite sure where I got this idea from, but it sounds like a story. So I was going to work on that one tonight, see if I can get something good out of it. And maybe have that as a book cover illustration, because I do have a few things that, wait a minute, it's really hard for me to talk and compose at the same time. I do have a few art pieces that are not actually spoken for or to do with a specific story. So this is good for an anthology or a magazine. Or just as a portfolio piece. Uh-oh. I think I hear the cat. So we had just let her outside a little while ago for some cat time. It's like me time, but, more feline. And I think she wants back in now. So, yeah, I'm going to have to leave off for just a minute. Let me write a note. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my mic and let in a cat. I will be back in, I don't know, a couple minutes. See you soon. Alright, I am back. The cat has been let back in to go hang out with her babies while they're being sweet and calm and asleep. And I also went ahead and tucked in Miss Chaos for the night. So this is gonna have to be a shorter stream. Let me see. Let me get myself set up again. Because I've been staying up a bit late. And I really shouldn't, because it leaves me feeling really cruddy in the mornings, and then I don't have time to do my editing. And that's not good. So I've been editing most of the day, and I'm at my page count somewhere in the 70s. Out of what's turned into about 220 something pages on my superhero novel, and I'm really excited about it. It's turning out really good. I fixed a few things. I have plans for plot holes that I was gonna to fix, and there was stuff that I had written that I was in a hurry to get on to the next stuff, and it was kind of placeholder conversations and stuff, and it just really did come off a little odd and disjointed. And honestly, with what did I do? I'm honestly surprised that my novel was accepted with, some of these glaringly bad dialogue choices that I made. I have fixed those now. I was just in a hurry when I wrote them the first time, because I was terrified that. Okay, hang on. Scoot that up. I was terrified that I was going to forget what I was doing. Okay, here I'm going to do a hand study again. Let's see. Oh! Well, if anybody has commented and I have not replied, that's because I forgot something kind of important. Hang on. Is it still on, or do I need to look it up? Okay, supposedly it's still on. Let me pop that up there. Ah, no, not this again. Software update. Well, I would love to, when I'm not streaming. But the thing doesn't come up when I'm not streaming. And I can't find it. If I adjust the nose a little bit, this is going to look a little bit like one of my nieces. Although, the plan is to have her missing half her head, so that might not be very flattering. Okay, what I'm going to do is take this layer, the transparent layer on top of the paper, and I'll just scoot it around so that I have enough room. So that I can do the complete hand. and then I'll just crop it out of the picture. When I go and slide it back like this, I'll lose some of my pieces that I was kind of proud of, but I'll know that it works and it makes logical sense. Okay, so something kind of interesting happened today. I try to do my live stream. It might have been the live stream before this one. It might have been Friday. And I saw, while I was working on mine, I saw a notification pop up in the corner over here for Alterna Comics. And I really love their live stream. I try and stop in and watch that one live when I can. But at the time, I was doing my own. I'm trying to be consistent. I'm also trying to improve somewhat so that I can, be worth watching. And really, the only way I can do that is to practice. And if I get any feedback, I can, consider that carefully and do what I can with that. Hold on, there goes autosave. Let's see, some of this is going to be a little bit buried in the ground, I think. So yeah, Alterna Comics, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to come back to that one because I'm in the middle of doing my own stream. I'm sorry to miss it live, all that stuff. Because I do like keeping up with what's going on over there because that's who I got my comic Soulbound printed through. They're not a printer exactly, they're a publisher, but they're doing a thing where independent creators can contact them and they will they'll help you get set up at their printer and put you on like the tail end of one of their print runs so that you can get the deal that Alterna Comics gets, which is it's an excellent deal, honestly. You can print a 32-page comic for 50 cents a copy and, minimum of 500 copies in your print run, but that's something that it means so much to me that they offered that because that put having my comic printed in reach for me. And it also made it much easier for my comic to fund. That comic is Soulbound issue 1. I'm gonna get to do, well, if I'm careful and I work hard, I will get to get all 10 issues of my series done, and it's an amazing story. It's nuanced, okay? There's a lot of action going on, but there's reasons for the characters. They're rounded characters. They develop. And let's see, the plot for the overall series is that a pragmatic med student gets flung into another world of magic and monsters, and she has to learn, uh, well, what's going on and how to get back home because her soul is restless there and is attempting to return home without her, without the rest of her. So that would leave, yeah, it would be kind of bad. But the world that she's found herself in, the two major nations in this region, are on the brink of war, and she has to find a way to bring healing to these nations and to find the secret of her own, or to solve the mystery of her own past before she can return. So yeah, it's a portal fantasy story, which is my favorite kind because I always like to see how. Well, I also really like fish out of water kind of stories, and seeing how um, people can adapt to vastly different circumstances than what they were raised to deal with. And also things like um, cultural differences and uh, language stuff. It's a lot of fun. Let's see. I do want to employ some foreshortening here so you can get a sense of the scale of this android. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what this idea came from. I don't know. It's just maybe it was something that I saw somewhere else before or I heard of or dreamed of or something. But it was one of my weirder concepts, so I thought I really do need to do something about it. And I did want to do more science fiction stuff. Um, this one's, eh, rather than being science fiction or fantasy, it's just odd. But I guess with a giant android, it would be more science fiction-y. Let's see. So if this was going to be used for like a book cover, I would want to leave the upper part of it. Yeah, leave all that background. Hang on, I am just about to sneeze, except I'm probably not going to actually sneeze. Yeah, no, it's just hanging out right there, not sneezing. Okay. Did I have anything else that I needed to include in this? You know, I liked my shoulder work on this one, but it's a little far out of the composition. I think I can actually roll it a little forward. I don't think I have mentioned today how much I love working with digital art. It's incredible. I can change composition on the fly. This is so nice. So I do try to have most of the image in mind before I get started drawing it. But yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to change it up. So yeah, I got distracted for a minute. So I wanted to tell you what happened on Alterna Comics art stream when I finally did get around to watching it. So Peter Simeti's about to do a whole stream on what not to do when you're submitting a comic to a publisher. And I wanted to see about that. I'm self-publishing mine, but it's really just my current one. If I can do a good job of selling like whatever my next series might be, um, I wouldn't have to do my own distribution, for one thing. So I did think that it was useful. It would be a good uh, it'd be a good show to watch. And of course, all his content's gold. I highly recommend Alterna Comics on YouTube, and I also recommend the comics. There's really something for everybody. And also, he runs the business the way I would do it. As a creator, um, the creators retain the rights to their work. He he prints it and publishes it and distributes it. Well, he signs up with the printer and does the distribution, and he does a ton of marketing, and he just works really hard and tries to do things right. And he doesn't gauge anybody. The comics are $1.50 each, which is quite excellent. They're all printed on newsprint and all this stuff, all this awesome stuff about Alterna Comics. You should totally check it out. So I'm going to catch up on his stream that he did, his live stream, and I haven't even got all the way through it yet because I started watching, and in the first 20 minutes, he practically made me cry. Yeah, he hadn't even got around to the advice yet. So he had my book, Soulbound Issue 1, up on the screen, and he's holding it up. He's talking about, you know, uh, oh, and he mentions me by name. He says usually I try to, watch his uh, channel, and I just couldn't do it that day because I was doing this one. I think I actually said that too bad I couldn't watch it when he was on. And so he holds it up, and it's like the first one in the stack. And he's talking about how excited I am to be able to do this, and um, to offer it at a reasonable price for comics. I was so excited about it. I still am so excited about it. I could not believe that he had my comic in hand. I mean, he'd said as much. He'd said that, it's been printed and shipped to him, and he's about to ship it out, but I didn't know that he was going to, hold it up in front of everybody and, flip through some pages and show off the colors. The colors look amazing. They look, from what I could tell, they look exactly like I wanted them to look. I can't believe it. I was really nervous. Okay, so what I did with this comic was I was in this program, and in some of my other art streams, you can see where I was coloring some of those pages. So in Clip Studio Paint EX, there's settings you can go to somewhere in here. Good gracious. Somewhere in here, there are all kinds of different settings. Okay, so in print settings, you've got RGB color. No, that's not it. It might be in advanced settings of color. There's export with display color. I have lost track of where everything is in this program. There's so much. But somewhere, possibly on opening the program, manage works, manage materials. Oh, well, they have tutorials. That's probably where I found it to begin with. But what you can do is you can choose what kind of paper you're going to be working with. You can choose what's going to work with CMYK. And over here in the default color set, you can see, if I hover over one of these, it says stuff like orange, muddy. And it gives you your percentage of your red, your green, and your blue in it. So what I tried to do was just avoid this whole line that says muddy, because I wanted my colors to be bright and vivid, because the newspaper will soak things up and bleed a little more. And very sparingly, I went with below the line where it says muddy, and used some of these darker ones for shading. And also I used some of those darker ones for dark background objects. And then I went back in and I used the multiply layer with the light grayish colors for the shading. And see, what you're supposed to do is click on each of your colors that you used and test them to see, what all that adds up to as far as the saturation. And admittedly, I did not really do that. I can't find all the settings all the time. I'm just not that good. And so I was kind of terrified. But, I actually had the setting for the kind of paper that he'd be using, well, that the printer would be using, and it said exactly what it was. So I set up the program in Clip Studio Paint. I set it up to begin with to accommodate uh, the paper uh, when it was oh goodness, what's my brain trying to say? Um, when it was time to convert it to CMYK so that it would do that accurately, or as accurately as possible, without having oversaturated colors going on too much. And also, I had Wes Loker, who's worked on Alterna Comics before, for their regular stuff that they've had published. Comics like Unit 44, which sounds hilarious. I need to buy up that series. It sounds like so much fun, and I think my son's really going to enjoy that one too. Storage Wars. Imagine if they accidentally auctioned off the storage unit that belonged to Area 51. That's the premise. So these two guys have got to go after all these weird alien artifacts. Men in Black, they are not. And retrieve them before disaster strikes. So that's one of Wes Loker's books. So he already knew how things needed to be formatted for those comics. So hiring him was kind of an extra bonus because he did my lettering and he did the formatting. So not only do I have terrific lettering going on, but the formatting was correct as well. Okay, I'm gonna cut this stream a little short, so I'm gonna try and keep an eye on the time. Yeah, wish me luck with that. Alright, what am I gonna do here? Do I need to start inking this? Do I need to detail it? Am I doing like black inks? Alright, I can try to ink. We'll see how I do. Okay. Because yeah, my sketching is, well, it's sketchy, but I need to practice my inks. That's a little wobbly. Back out of that. And I'm also going to do mild corrections on this, even though I really shouldn't. Oh. So I think that part of my problem with inking digitally is that I'm watching a screen. And I'm not watching my hand. So my coordination's pretty good. One of the exercises that I should probably try doing some more again one of these days is drawing from life without looking at my hands. So it's funny. It's always good for a laugh because if you do it right and you don't really look down at what you're doing, your art's going to turn out looking hilarious. Let's see. And also, it's really good exercise for teaching your hands to do what your brain wants them to do. Especially for something like this when you, let's see. So, do I really want this to be in there? Hang on. I'm going to change things. Okay, so this should be hollow. Come on. Ah, goodness, no. Okay. Try that again. So I do want the variation in the line weight. I don't want it all to look the same because when I ink with real actual ink and like a crow quill pen, I can get some variation in the lines, and then I have to change pens to get all my variation that I want. But it's having the variation, especially having the variation when you want it, adds so much life and interest to each of your lines. And that's something that Mia is really good at. Yeah, I had her working on Soulbound, doing all the sequential art and the cover art, and I just came in and colored it, and I'm forever jealous of her inking style because it's so fluid and natural and yet clean. It's some of the cleanest inks I've ever seen. And it's just appealing to me. And I also really think that it fits the story of Soulbound better, that it's got a lot of versatility to it. It can tell the story in a funny, cartoony way, and also it has plenty of room to be serious and even gritty. And it's very loopy and fluid, and uh, has so much ability to illustrate what's beautiful as well as what's scary or weird and creepy. So yeah, her style is just excellent. I love it to pieces. But my as far as my inks, I'm still working on developing what my style actually is. Okay, well that's gonna have to do it for tonight. I still have some stuff to get done, but thank you for watching. I highly recommend that you check out Alterna Comics on YouTube so that you can see more about what they do. You can also get to see uh, in the what not to do to submit to publishers or something like that, whatever that title was, because it was kind of long and I don't remember it. Um, you can also get to see uh, my my first issue of my comic, Soulbound issue 1, Adrift. You can see what it looks like, in somebody's hands, which is it just blows my mind. And okay, half my mind is still drawing, and the other half is AWOL, I think. But I will be back, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, but I'll be back on Thursday and Friday around 9 o'clock. And let me hide that so you can see how much inking I've gotten done. Not very much. Yeah, I've got a ways to go. But I think it's going to turn out good. It's going to be an interesting one. It flows, it curves around. Like if the title's up here, if it was a book cover, it'll curve back around to whatever your credits or your authors are. I might change up some of the other pieces a bit. So that's it for tonight, but thank you for keeping me company. I appreciate it so much. And check out my book. You can also go to www.otherrealmstudio.com. Let me see. I can actually type on this app. This should pop up in the chat across all of my platforms that I have attached to Restream.io. And it says it does. And you can see my other art. You can sign up for my newsletter with your email. You can commission me for art. I still have an opening in my schedule, believe it or not. And pretty soon, I'm going to do an unboxing video. Um, Once I get in my comics, I don't know if they're all going to arrive on the same day or not. The post office is kind of weird around here. But yes, I'm actually going to record myself, like my face and my comics. I'm planning on it anyway. I'm nervous, y'all. So, I'll see you in the other realm. Good night.